Hey, it's Steve Zellenardo here, and Zellenardo's. What are we doing? A record on thing?
Real estate.
Real estate. Okay, yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back to Real Estate on Record. We're here with Mike Addy. We're going to talk about taxes and all the taxations here in the province of Ontario. So I know Mikey's done some research on this, so he's going to take it away.
Yeah, so we're looking at a couple of taxes coming out here in Toronto, to say the least. It's the vacant home tax and our property tax in Toronto is going up. So property tax in Toronto, we're looking at, I think it was 5.5% increase for the year. Plus, there was already a 1.5% levy increase that was approved prior in the year. So we're looking at a 7% increase overall. And we ran the numbers this morning. It's not a crazy increase in month or annual payment. I think it was like what, $5,000, an extra what, $350.
Yeah,
$350
$350 a year. Yeah.
So it wasn't the end of the world, but I think the big issue in the back end of that was that there's like what was a 900 and something $1,000 deficit or million.
900 million.
900
plus
million
another
deficit
400 million
from carrying
COVID.
over from COVID.
Yeah.
So we're at like a 1.4 million dollar deficit.
Billion dollars.
Sorry,
Yeah.
$1 billion deficit
Yeah.
from the last 2 years, right? So the issue is now they're trying to scrounge up what they can to keep us floating, but they're looking at they used an example of a community center. Like, are they gonna have to shut down a community center because the plumbing doesn't work? Like, kind of ridiculous.
They're gonna decommission, yeah.
Yeah.
But so, like, when I got back from Florida, like, and just for a simple thing, like, everything is pristine. The roads, the lights, the landscaping, everything is irrigated. Every roadscape, everything's got a sprinkler system on it that goes on to like satellite control system, make sure with the heat and everything. Everything is perfection, pristine.
Yeah.
We got back in here, and I was driving to Toronto off the 401, and it looked like what you would drive through like Atlanta, Georgia, like or is it Atlanta or Charlotte? Like just like very. It's a little bit run down, right? Like the highways had weeds growing out between the road's edge and the actual like barrier.
Yeah.
It's just like abandoned.
Well, the roads are all potholes like crazy.
They're a disaster, but it's a lack of maintenance. They were dirty, sand, and this was in the summer already. It was just rocks on the side, nothing maintained. And I told my wife, this was in September rather, because I had to go down for the embassy consulate meeting, and I said, this is a problem with finances, with with the Toronto's going through some sort of pushback with finances, because it looks like they're already dropping a lot of the services that costing money. And you know what? This kind of lit a light in my head with this article you brought up today. It's already started. So they're going to start removing services to offset the debt level they've accumulated through
the last 2
COVID.
years, the pandemic.
But let me ask you a question. So what caused the debt level? What was
Overspending.
No, but why during COVID? Was it travel tourism? Was it
Maybe a lack of tourism, yeah. So we didn't have people coming into our city, possibly spending. I don't know what the figure is that we have in tourism every year. And then I know another big thing that they were talking about was the revenue that they were getting from TTC, right? No one was taking the TTC into the city. It was a ghost town, so they were losing a lot of revenue there. So I guess that's what the cause of, like, they weren't making the money where they normally were in the previous years.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure. Like, I know it became a ghost town. Restaurants were shut down for sure. Like, but people were still paying taxes. Construction was still. They didn't shut down construction, so that was going good.
Well, and they just. I guess that doesn't really go against the deficit if they printed the money. And
No, but also, so the building was good. Nothing. They were still taking their taxes. So where did they lose the 1.4 billion?
Well, the transportation, right?
Sure.
I guess there was just less business. They even think of the gas, that people were using less gas, but that's federal level.
Federal, yeah. So I think we should look into that. I'm just curious
Where the money went.
But now they're going to shortchange that city. The city of Toronto is the financial district of Canada, guys. This is not. We're not.
Yeah,
this is not
we can't be trying to just survive here. We gotta.
It's not a bush town. So
No.
they're going to start taking services away and decommissioning building. And I was talking, actually, last night we went to the Conservative parties. They had like some sort of fundraiser or whatever. I wanted to support the candidates there. I know Anna Roberts personally. And they're talking about something about that. A lot of buildings they're going to decommission and stuff like that going forward, like for expenses.
Which is crazy,
Yeah.
right?
So, yeah, it's interesting.
And then flipping the other side, now we got the vacant home tax in Toronto, right? So if your home is vacant for more than 6 months at a time,
Is that GTA too? Everything?
I'm pretty sure it's just Toronto. I couldn't find it.
Is it not? Yeah. Because I know my wife's grandfather got a letter in the mail.
Did
It's
he?
like to some sort of like
The yellow letter? Was it yellow?
something is very like he got panicked when he saw it. He's like, "What
So
is this?"
sorry, it might be GTA. I
Yeah.
thought it was just Toronto.
Is it? No, he's in Toronto.
Oh, he's in Toronto. So yeah. It's by February
So
2nd.
GTA doesn't get affected.
I don't think so.
I
I think it's
didn't
just
look into
Toronto.
it.
So I think
Yeah.
it's just the vacant home tax in Toronto. There's a couple exemptions, like if you're an elderly person and you've passed, or you've been moved into a care home. Renovation was another thing, but
You got like 6 months.
6 months. But they also said like you have to show like production, like they might follow up and see like you can't basically drag your feet and just say it's under renovation for like 3 years. So they might actually come back and ask you for, I guess, some sort of evidence. Those were kind of the exemptions, and it's 1% of the assessed value. So it's 10 grand at $1,000,000 if you're leaving a house vacant in the city of Toronto.
It's good too. There's a positive flip to that too, because it's ultimately like housing. Like we have a short of
Dude,
housing.
that's what they're trying to do.
For rental. Like at least if someone, like a lot of people from foreign buyers, rather, let's say from China, from India, a lot of they'll keep these things vacant because they don't care about if
No.
it's rented. They don't want the hassle. It's more them parking money
And keeping it
in a
safe.
safe place.
Yeah,
A safe place. So yeah, they'll be forced. That'd be great. And if they don't, then it creates a revenue for the city. So I think that's positive.
Yeah,
for
they were
sure.
thinking,
Yeah.
I think, $55 to $65 million in.
It's good.
in
No, I
revenue.
think that's good.
Which I think they almost
Yeah.
need in a sense, because like we are anticipating in 2023 less volume, right? So the land transfer tax is going to be down. Justin Trudeau wants to increase the land transfer tax. So the capital gains tax, I guess. So
Yeah. So it's 50% of your gains you'll be taxed on. So if you make 100 grand, 50,000 goes into your bank account. The other 50K gets taxed.
30%.
No. So we're gonna get there. So if you make 100K, 50K goes into your bank account, clean. 50K of that goes into your tax system, so your income tax. So if you're charged 30% tax per year, then you're paying 30% tax on that 50K, right? So it's like $15,000. Now he wants to bring it to 75%. Yeah, no, the place is great. You can make so much money here. It's amazing.
So what's the point of?
It's friendly here.
No,
you can
so-
do it,
So they're,
Stefano.
they're holding us back versus the states. So now look at an investor here.
So what's now the states?
States, it's so everything is in your favor. You don't pay any state income tax. Number one,
What's the capital gains for?
capital gains there is very similar, but there's other ways to move it around. Like I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah. But also income tax. So like for here, obviously our highest tax rate is like 54.3% or something like that. If you're at high tax, I think over 250K, and then there it's like 37% over 500K.
That's huge.
Yeah, for sure. And then you obviously you switch things into corporations and you'll pay like 15% tax, right? 20% maybe, like around between 15 and 20.
Yeah, more revenue.
He printed so much
Just
money.
just in Toronto, we're in a $1.4 million deficit.
billion dollars.
Sorry, $1 billion deficit.
Yeah.
And in Florida, for example, they're in what, 21?
Their
billion
surplus of 21 billion. Surplus.
Surplus.
Listen, forget about politics. If you're left, right, who gives a shit, right? All we want, everyone has, on the left and the right have the same concept. We want to build a better life for our kids, right? That's all we want. Okay. So ultimately, what people are looking at is how they managed everything. Like if you get into these democratic states and all of America, the way it's like how we handled COVID here. And COVID's a real thing. People died and this whole thing. But ultimately, the data was out real early where they could have done something like Florida. Or let Florida go first and say, okay, they're all thriving. Let's turn it on. They ignored everything, and they thrived. While California shut down even their ports. Remember that they had goods and services were all buoyant. Like all these big boats were buoyant in the ocean, couldn't even come into shore because, when they had 15, 20 cranes running to offload these things, they had like 3 now. So what DeSantis says, come on down, folks. We have our full ports, full operation, and away you go. And all those ports where you had in Florida specifically is where you usually have your cruise liners coming through. All you seen was cargo ships coming because they don't have any alliance. They don't give a shit about if it's California or Florida. They got to unload their cargo and send the boat back out because it costs them money. The crew's got to stay buoyant in the ocean. This is wild, right? So they all unloaded there and then whatever. And this is how Florida saved Christmas. it's the matter of just spending and not controlling anything. And this is why conservatives always get a bad name, because they always got to fix the problems of the liberals. If it's a Republican or a Democrat, whatever it is, always like they're the more conservative to spending money. So libs will come in and spend a shitload of cash on everything, make a mess, run up a deficit, and then the conservative party will have to clean that up. And then they look like the adult parent, that very disciplined parent. And so it's not a very sexy, like cool looking party, let's say, because they're more disciplined than say the liberal parties, right? But if you look at, and now it's just in contrast, forget about before and ideology and everything like that. Look at the difference between what is successful and what's not. If you got everyone migrating to one state and building it up, that's success. While these California, New York, they're being torn down by this. So it's like, again, we can't ignore this. If you're left or right, you got to think, what's the best place for your kids to raise? Are they going to have an opportunity? Is there going to be less crime? Like, this is all things. Like, you want your kids to go to school and be safe, right? You want them to get married and you want them to be safe. Like, you don't want them to get robbed, mugged, and murdered on a streetscape or getting car robbed. Like, you need law and order. When you talk about defunding the police, I don't want to be approached by a criminal. Like, I don't want to be involved in that. I don't have any skills. Like, I want to call somebody that can take care of that. And then we pay taxes, and that's called policing. It's been around since the Roman times. When Roman times it was unruly, they'd police it. They'd have a police squad, and that would put everything back into order. When you talk about defunding the police, this is wild talk. I don't even know who would have brought that up and who would have stood behind it. What do you want, defund the firemen now? What do you do with a fire? You can bring buckets?
Exactly.
Everyone, neighbors, your neighbors don't give a shit if your house burns down, because if it's nicer than theirs, they're going to let it burn to the ground. Trust me. You want a fireman to be there. So. Hey guys, hope you like these videos. Obviously a little bit very political today, but please like, share, and subscribe. And these are our platforms that we'll be on for the podcast. And
Thanks,
Mike,
guys.
anything you want to say? You stay quiet there this one.
You went off. I just want to let you go.
No, but it's all good. We love you all. We love everybody. It's all good.
Thanks, guys.
And cut.
Ciao.